Everyone. So now we are going to start our class, but we are still waiting for others. I understand if Mr. Titawat already here or not. If not, then we have to call for others to have recall first for other weeks of topics. I think last week you have self-study, but people who registered for week 4 not yet have recall and summary. And I think for the recall, Mr. Sam already here to have the recall for economic growth, poverty, and globalization. Maybe while we are waiting for others, we can ask Mr. Sam to have a little bit recall of economic growth, poverty, and globalization week 4. Is Mr. Sam here?
No.
Yes, you are here. Can you help us a little bit for summary, please? Recall economic growth, please, Mr. Sam.
Okay. So last 2 weeks we learned about overpopulation, poverty, globalization, economic growth. And in this part, we have learned about the sustainable development in preserve the nature for the better future. And for overpopulation, we have learned about how it impact on our natural resources and our environment. Another one is poverty, which is explain about the people or the community which lack of the financial resources and essential for minimum standard of living. And another part is globalization, which is the interconnection between the countries through the economic, whether it is culture, economics, or other society. And for the very first thing, I was explaining about overpopulation and how it impact our society. By having a lot of population, we will have a depletion in our natural resources, which is lead to the loss of the fresh water because more people mean that we need to consume more water. And also, the second one is species extinction because we have to consume for our nutrient and our day to exercise our daily activity. So it will lead to the extinction of a certain species of some like some mammals that we eat. And another one is life expectancy. Just look at India, like because of the high densely populated area, the life expectancy is very low and is not good for our society. And another one is the depletion of our natural resources because as I mentioned before, that by having a lot of population, um, it means that we need to consume a lot of. It means that we have to consume a lot of natural resources for such as water or like some resources to generate electricity or something like that. And another one is intensive farming because we have a high rate of population, so we might need a practice of agriculture that might enhance the production process, such as the use of chemical, which is not good for our health. And the and another one is the emergence of the pandemic. Just taking this COVID pandemic as an example, just like COVID-19, with a high densely populated area. For example, like China and India, they have the country have a population more than 1 billion, so it might be hard for them to control the spread of the coronavirus. So I think that it's not good for every country to like by having such a large number of population and to control the spread of diseases. So the new normal has been formed, such as like the social distancing and so on. And another one is like global warming and climate change, because we need to consume the resources such as the fossil fuel for our transportation, which might impact on the climate change by emitting the carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. And another one is crime rate because of the rise in the competition between our society. It may lead to people to fight for their opportunities. So this might increase the crime rate. And another one is the changing in democracy because if there's a lot of people, they might fight for the opportunity and and it will make the government to control and by implying the martial law or some new policy that might control the citizen. So this is what population might impact on the on our society.
Mm.
And another one is poverty. Poverty is like one of the serious problem that we are facing nowadays, especially those people who earn less than like $1.9 per
Mm.
day, which is not enough for their living. So for those people, like it's really hard for them. And there's one thing that the poor people cannot get out of, which is the poverty cycle, which is just imagine that if you're born in a poor family, you might not have enough money to get the education and skills, and so so you have to do some extra work to support your family. So the children might not have time to study, so they have to quit studying and then find a job to support their families, and then after doing some works, and then after they getting old, they have to marry and have children to support the work, and then it's just going on like that. So it's just repeating the same, and so the poor people might trap in this cycle and cannot get out of this anymore. And this one more thing that impact on this thing nowadays is like in this economic growth, in this era, many countries focus on the foreign direct investment, and allow so many companies to come invest and providing job for the local people. And also what impact on the people for people is that is one thing is good for them is that getting job, but what is not good for them is like the increase of the price of the product, and like they have to spend more on their daily life. So this one of the negative impacting on the life of the poor people. And the last one is about the globalization, which is really familiar to us in this era. I think that everyone must aware that in this era, whether they can communicate with their friend or their family, whether they are staying or living in. Um, and in a short time, we can also travel to a long distance, like maybe let's say that we travel from Bangkok to London or Paris. We can travel just in a short time with a very flexible mode of transportation, such as taking a flight, and which is really by using high technology. And another one is like the economic globalization. In this case, we could see that in this globalization area, many government allow so many foreign direct investment, and which is provide so many jobs for other people, and so it can increase the employment rate. And I think it's good for it's a good opportunity for people. And another one is like the exchange of culture and education. We could see that many people at the in this young generation, they have gone to overseas and find their opportunity and study abroad, and like exchange cultures, and uh let's take Chinatown as an example. That wherever we go in many other countries, we can see that there's so many Chinatowns, and like we can experience the same Chinese culture, which is nearly the same, and we can enjoy food or something like that. So I think this is all from my semi.
Oh, thank you so much. It's very complete, Sam. I wonder if you want to have another one in climate change and biodiversity in week 6.
I think.
Okay, so next week we can have it you again. Okay, thank you so much, Sam.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, and let me continue with Miss Araya here. Okay, if she is not here, then I think. Oh, okay. If it is okay, I ask Miss Pichaya first. Is Miss Pichaya here? Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, please.
Saya udah.
Okay, are you ready to have a summary for food and health system?
Yes, I'm already prepared. Okay. I think the food system encompassing the production, processing, marketing, and purchase of food and the related consumer behaviors, resort and institution. This appear to be struggling to develop nutritious and healthy diets equitably. Moreover, the world is changing. The global population is increasing. Migration to city is occurring, and transition in dietary habits toward more processed and animal source-based foods are becoming commonplace, putting the food system under ever-increasing pressure. Historically, a study by nutritionists and others working in public health have not been designed to address food system as new problems that span environmental change, food system activity, and health outcome within specific socio-economic, societal, and political contexts. However, the food and healthcare system issue is interconnected to sustainable development. Teacher.
Yes, please. Okay, thank you so much. And Miss Araya, are you ready already? Okay, Miss Araya and Miss Pichaya already, right? Okay, then we continue first then to wait for others. Let me start with
Teacher, Araya already prepared.
already prepared. Okay, let's wait for Miss Araya first then. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Araya. It's okay. And we still have one more for food and health. Maybe Mr. Titawat can make complete. Are you here already? Okay, Mr. Titawat not yet here. Okay, if he is not yet here, let's start again with our topic today. We will talk about education. So last time we have already talked about what is sustainability, what is development, what is poverty, overpopulation, globalization, and everything, including food and health. With your photo, I will talk more about your photo after this. Now we continue first with a relationship of education and sustainable development. Okay, so the topic for our class today is education for all, because in the perspective of sustainable development, there are many issues of education, not only inside the classroom, but also the issue that relate with the social and political aspect. In this week, we will have the focus on inequality in education. For example, inequality to access education for children, and also inequality to access education for people living in poverty. So education has strong relationship with social status, like that. And the last one is inequality for education, especially for women. How can we see that? Today we will see that education is not only about higher education or university, but simple like ability to reading. Okay, so surprisingly, by the end of this topic today, we will see that not so many women are able to read, meaning that there are not so many women have equal access to education, just as simple as the ability to read, for example, like that. Okay, so before we start the class, let me show you first about the YouTube channel to show you about the aspect of education, not about inside the classroom, but related with social and political aspect. Okay, let me start the YouTube first. Okay, I hope you can see this one.
Everyone agrees that education is hugely important. The thing is, we're not particularly sure what we want from it. The aim of education should be to prepare us for the challenges of adult life. Yet from this perspective, it's clear that schools fail all but a tiny portion of their students. Whether in highly academic private schools or in deprived government-run ones, trouble dealing with life's challenges remains very widespread indeed. Human ingenuity, energy, goodwill and talent is being lost on an industrial scale. To get more ambitious about education doesn't necessarily mean spending more money, building more schools, employing more teachers, or making exams more difficult. Rather, it should mean focusing more on the real purpose of education. There are two fundamental tasks it should help us with: working and sustaining good relationships. In order to address these needs, a future national curriculum might specify that the following subjects be studied. Firstly, capitalism. A conspiracy of silence exists around the economic system we live within. We find it hard to change its bad sides or defend its strengths because we simply don't fully understand how it works. A subject like maths should be geared to teaching its #1 utility for 99% of the population: dealing with money. Such classes would demystify the global economy by teaching students the importance of the means of production and how profits are made. The role of cash flow, HR, leadership, marketing, and competition would also be studied. In the perfect school system, you'd also then study a really big second subject: yourself. Young students would be introduced to the idea that we humans are extremely prone to misunderstanding ourselves. They would be taken through the concepts of delusion, defensiveness, projection, and denial in everyday life. Individual tutors would be on hand to help students draw personality maps with particular attention paid to their neuroses and fears. Doing this would ensure that students learn a lot about how complex they truly are and what types of people they would be best suited to hang out with. A crucial unit would be devoted to career self-knowledge. What job are you best suited to? Students would spend 3 hours a week exploring what they might do with their futures. Then one would study relationships. Being intensely aware of the social and individual cost of every unhappy relationship, an ideal education system would emphasize the acquisition of skills that help people to live better together. There would be units on kindness and forgiveness, as well as on anxiety reduction techniques. In this educational utopia, it wouldn't only be children who would go to school, but adults as well. Schooling would be for life. Education wouldn't just be taking place in classrooms. Media and the arts would be made to maximize their teaching potential and help to teach people what they actually need to learn. We're so hung up on the challenges of running a massive education system, we're failing to pinpoint the real source of its problems. These aren't primarily about money, salaries, or discipline. These are really only a consequence of a more fundamental problem. Right now, and with no one quite meaning for this to happen, we've simply got the wrong curriculum.
Okay, let me stop here first, and we continue with our study about today. What is education then? Okay, now let me start with this for education for all for our today's class. So from the video, I think you recognize that there are many problems happen around our education. When you first listen to the video, there are an interesting topic about capitalism. What is capitalism? Capitalism is actually the study or the ideology that deals with the economic aspect in our life. We are now living in industrial era that everything relates with the value of money. And usually in the education, since the beginning, since the young age, the young children, they don't have access to learn about something real in the life. Okay, from the video, we know that the study or the curriculum that give to our students or to our children now is not dealing with their real life. For example, they don't how to say, the school doesn't teach them how to deal with the capitalism outside the real life, and also not yet teach about the relationship, how to make a friend, how to know yourself, and so on. The real education that teach you about the real life and how to deal with capitalism or the real situation in social and political life, you have it when you are in university. But in the same time, not so many people or not all citizens can have access to get the education in university. So in this case, we still have the issue of inequality in education, where the common or the education in the childhood not yet offer the best learning or teaching access to the real life situation, and you have to wait until you are in the university, or not so many people can access university. So unfortunately, not so many people can have the best or the fullest benefits from education. Okay, let's start first with definition. What is education system then in relation with sustainable development? So according to this person, he is Malcolm X, a very famous philosopher also. Education is the passport to the future, because for tomorrow belongs for those who prepare for it today. So Malcolm X once said that education is the passport, right? Because it can deliver you, it can brings you to wherever you want to be, or wherever you want to have in the future. However, some passports are better than the others, because in some countries they have better access of education, or they have better curriculum to teach for the young people, the young citizens, since very early age. So if education is the passports and passports are better than others, giving the holder access to better school and teachers, is it equal with a more prosperous future? The question is, will education bring you to a better future? The answer is yes or no. The answer yes, because with the correct education, students or the citizens of the country will be more ready, will be more prepared to, to survive in the real life situation. But with the inequality in education, moreover, you have the more serious situations of COVID-19, the inequality or the gap, social gap in education is getting more serious. For example, the COVID-19, the pandemic, has made the problems in education, become worse and made the problems become more visible. If we look at the another philosopher, John Dewey, in 1916, education is a process of inviting the truth and possibility, right? It's encouraging and giving time to discovery. But in the real life situation, the education system that you have since early childhood not yet teach you how to find the possibility of your future, and not yet teach you how to invite the truth of the social system, the political system, and economic system. So according to John Dewey, education is not only the classroom process. Education is social process. It is also the process of living, not preparation for the future living only, but to make you realize the current situation and makes you prepare for the future. So in this view, the teachers or the school system have to look to the learning and being with others rather than acting upon them. So the task of the system, the education system, is to educe. Educe is related to the Greek word meaning educere, or to bring out the developed potential both in themselves of others. So the basic word of education is basically not to teach or study, but actually to bring out the to develop the best potential in the students, meaning that there are many ways to ask the students to learn, not only in the class but also outside the class in your daily life, like this, to make the education closer to the real situations of your life. So what is education system actually? Now we have to see the goals or the objective or the aims of education. Number one is to deliberate and hopeful, to make the students have the hope or the learning that set out to make happen, the belief that student can be more. Okay, now you have your own potential, but with education, you can be more, stronger, happier, or greater, or smarter. Basically, the aims of education is to make the students become more. Okay, number two, to make informed, respectful, and wise. So in this case, the issue of education not only to make the students more able to do in the brain, the smart, but also to teach how to invite the truth in the attitude to make it more wise. Okay, because now you can see there are difference of the people who have education or not. With the education, it is expected that the students are more informed, respectful, and wise. And number three is grounded in the desire that at all may flourish and share in life, meaning that this is also to build the character, to have more cooperative, inclusive, can work together with others and avoid the attitude of being selfish in the life. So the education system, first of all, may be viewed as a part of the total social system. It reflects and influences the social and cultural order it is part of. In the modern society, we know this system and education as the formal training. Green in 1976 writes that in history, education means the conscious training for the young people for the later adoptions in their adult roles, meaning that education system should give more training to the young people to become ready or prepare for their roles in adult system. And by modern convention, however, education has come to be more formal training by specialists within the formal organizations of the school. Okay, so this is the aims of education that I summarize, not only about to teach your brain, but also to develop the best of you in the attitude and also the characteristic of being cooperative, inclusive, and avoid the kind of selfish actions like this. Nah? Okay, let's continue. Okay. So what is education system then? From definition, you can have two kinds of definitions of education. The first one is narrow sense. In the narrow definitions, education is just the planned, organized, and formal process. So it is part of particular place. So education is understood as institution. Education can be only obtained from the formal institution in some kind of place like school, college, and university. So this institution will have curriculum that is formal. So in this narrow sense, education is limited to the classroom. However, education itself is not only inside the classroom with institution. In a broader sense, education is unrelated to schooling or teaching, but it involves the social institutions outside the classroom. So the functions of education is multidimensional within the school system and outside the school. So it performs the functions of socializing individual for variety of social roles and development of personality. Because after you finish the school, you will work with other people outside the school. That's the real life. And the real life, actually the real education for you, but without the exam, right? And education outside the school, it is also important part of the control mechanism of society. And education is necessary for a simple society to become a modern, complex industrial society. So in summary, the term education system, usually you know it as public schooling. Okay, not private schooling, because in the narrow sense, education is a planned, organized, and formalized process. School or school districts for children, usually they are called as the smallest recognized form of education system, and the country are the largest. Because usually the states also consider to have their own each education system. For example, the education in Thailand system will be different with other country in ASEAN, for example, with the neighbors in Cambodia, in Myanmar, in Laos, in Vietnam. Each country will have their own specific their own education system that adapt from the state and the culture, like this. So to continue about this, education system, if we simply put on that, comprise everything that goes into educating public school students at the federal, state, or community levels. It has relationship with the laws. It has relationship with policy, regulations, funding, resources, administrative facility, human resource, book, technology, computers, and other contributing elements. And besides the facility and the school system, in education, you also have the teaching professions that's also complex and have multi-dimension. Why multi-dimension? Because it still have several challenges to have the reform and improve for the teaching and learning itself. And in practice, some education system still have a possibility to require complicated state policy change and school schedule modifications and other things. So education is the most, how to say, challenging and complex problem in sustainable development, because it's not only related with the formal schools inside the classroom, where you can see that although inside the classroom, the system is already challenging and complex. Moreover, education is also informal, or you can have it from outside the classroom. So this makes the education system is very unique in each country and each state, because of the system inside the classroom and outside the classroom for each state will be different from one to another. And education is also the most powerful tools in lifting excluded children and adults out of poverty. So education as the beginning is the passport actually to get out of the situations of the poverty and give the hope for the children to step out of poverty. So in this case, education is also the fundamental human rights. And if you invest in education, you can say it is the most sustainable investment. Because with education, if you finish the degree or you have the good education, you can step up your social level in the society. Because society acknowledge, even though education system is very challenging and complex, but they acknowledge you as educated person. And if you are educated person, people will be more pay respect to you. And moreover, the rights to quality education is already rooted in universal declarations and of human rights and other international legal instruments. And the United Nations also work very hard with the work of UNESCO to promote the education for the children and to protect the culture that can be part of education outside the classroom. Like this. We will skip this YouTube first and we continue a little bit with this. Now we go into the topic of inequality in education. So after you understand about what is education and what is education system and the definitions of educations from the narrow and broader aspect, not only related with inside the classroom, but also facility and other situation outside the classroom. When you talk about education, this is the most fundamental aspect in human rights, and it is still full of the issue of inequality in education. Education is a basic human right that works to raise the men and women out of poverty, level inequalities, and ensure sustainable development. What is the inequality in education? The 258 million children and the youth worldwide are still out of school for social, economic, and cultural reasons. For example, some students cannot go to the school because of social bullying. It still happens. And maybe they don't have money for economic reason because of poverty. And maybe because of cultural reasons that in some country, there are still have a belief that women cannot go to the school or women cannot have access to education because of cultural reason. In the same time, the standards of education also different globally, and the education inequality happen at the local level in all countries. For example, only 4 of 100 children in Africa expected to enter graduate and postgraduate institution. Compare 14 out of 100 in South and West Asia, and 36 out of 100 in Latin America. Meaning that from 100 people living in different countries, the chance or the opportunity to continue to higher study is different from country to country. However, even in developed country, the quality and schooling can also be different, whether in rich or poor. But you may say high national wealth in developed country, maybe the people will have higher education. But the reality is, even though the country like UK, Germany, and US are among the richest country in the world, but that 3 countries still rank poorly on educational inequality from 41 country, because the citizen in that rich country still have difficulty to access to the school or to education system. So there is no guarantee of high national wealth will have the high equality or access to go to education. Okay, compare to other country, but doesn't mean that UK, Germany, and US doesn't have good quality of education. But compare with the high national wealth, even in the rich country, there are still issue of inequality to access education. So how many kids are accessing education around the world? With the blue color that you see the light and the dark, the light blue is not access education, and the blue, dark blue is accessing education. In low-income country, as you can see, there are higher number of kids not accessing education compared to high-income country. So even though the highest or richest country in the world still have inequality to access education, but the opportunity to go to higher education is bigger if the country with the high level of economic compared to the country that are still have poverty, meaning that the poverty also relate to the opportunity of the children, of the young people to continue their education in higher level, like this. And now we understand that economic also part of contributing factors to education inequality. Like the UK is home to a famous private school like Eton College and Harrow Schools behind. Sorry, this is typo. And not only about the issue of economy, but education inequality also related to the issue of gender. Inequality between gender is also apparent or obvious from a young age and growing as children age. And you can see it very simple from reading ability among girls that are better than the boys by the age of 9, but many girls decided not to continue their study in higher level. Let's see in the note here. According to UNICEF, a child's education progress is linked to their family background. So what kind of jobs that the parents have, or whether the child is a first-generation immigrants, can affect their likelihood to continue to higher education. So this talks about UNICEF, in this case, talks about the motivations of some children to continue their higher education. So even though you come from rich family, but you don't have motivation to go to study, then maybe you also don't choose to have higher education. But if you come from poverty and your family doesn't have good enough of economy, but if you have higher motivation to go to study, then you can continue to higher education. So this makes the issue of inequality in education becomes more complex, because even though there are some research to say that there are relationship of poverty and low education, but in real life, even some people from poor family can also get the highest education because of the self-motivation. So it can also relate it not only with social politics and economy, but also relate with the history and the culture and traditions of the family. Something like this. Okay. But in some case, the issue of gender is still very obvious as the real problem of sustainable development. If you see the target of SDG 5, you can still have the equality of gender, still have strong relations with inequality of education. As you can see here, gender inequality is a human fight, not a female fight. Because even though education looks like doesn't have the real gender issue, and the men or the boys also cannot access the education from poverty or the low economic background family, but in fact for the girls the issue is even deeper and heavier, because there are, according to United Nations, there are still 5 barriers to the girls' education that the man or the boy may not have in the future. For example, if poverty, it can be the problem of man and the woman. Even if education is free, for example, but the cost of uniforms and other supplies can make education inaccessible. Okay, but this one can be happen to men and women. However, if you talk about child marriage or pregnancy, with the child brides are almost always forced to drop out of school, the issue of child marriage and early pregnancy can only happen to the woman. And usually if women have the child marriage or early pregnancy, she cannot continue the higher education due to social pressure and also considered as having low morality compared to the men who experience the early sex activity or child marriage in the same time with the woman, right? So the barriers to the girls in education in this case heavier than the men. Number 2, lack of safe and private girls-only latrines. For example, in early teenager period, even though the men or the boys cannot access the school, the same thing, but for the girls, they will have their first time of period, the special case only for the girls, and usually they have stigma and other factors during their periods time. And usually the physical and difference in changing in the, in the body will also affect the way girls react to the study or curriculum, for example, in the sports or other things that require the girls to have more rest than the men, or the boys, for example. And also the long distance to school. Even though boys and girls still have the same distance going to home from the school, 1 kilo or 2 kilo, but girls are at increased risk of experiencing violence or harassment if she walks very far from the home going to school. And the last one is gender inequality related with the culture that girls are often stay at home to help the family with the housework and care. Usually in some cultures, the father or the family will give permission to boy to go to the school, but they don't give permissions of the girls to go to school, and have the option that the girls better stay at home to do the family care and the housework compared to the boys. And in this case, this gender inequality in education is more real to the woman compared to the men. Not because men and women are different in economic or social or politics, but mostly because of the cultural traditions and the physical limitations of the girls itself, usually during the pregnancy and during their periods. And it's still real during the early educations, usually for the teenagers period of time like this. So what are contributing factors to education inequality among children? We read UNESCO in 2012 published a new World Atlas of Gender Equality in Education, illustrate the participations of girls and boys in pre-primary, primary, and secondary and tertiary education. The data shows that there has been significant progress towards gender parity since 1970s. 2/3 of all countries have reached gender parity in primary education, but girls still lack of secondary level of education. For example, maybe boys and girls have similar opportunity to go to elementary school, but during the junior and high school, even going to university, the numbers of girls in some country are reduced because of the concerns or cultural traditions that I already mentioned before, right? So in some country, girls have advantage concerning access to and completions of education, because we can see from the country that doesn't have the cultural or tradition to make the girls stay at home. At the tertiary level, female students outnumber male students in many high-income countries like this. So if we talk about education and the growth barrier, it is also important to see in which country that the girls have the issue, because it's still related also with the culture and traditions that the country still have, like this. But you can see from different part of the world here, as I mentioned, in South and West Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Arab states, East Asia Pacific until Central Asia, you can see the number of purple is for the male and pink for the female. It is the gap to access the educations from the literacy, the ability to read, you can see the highest gap from male and female to be able just to read is in South and West Asia until Africa and Arab states. But during time by time, the number of the gap is decreasing, and it is a good news. And in the Central and Eastern Europe until Central Asia, the gap number for ability for the adults to read between male and female is very decreasing. So we have a good progress of education in sustainable development goals to reduce the gap of educations and also the inequality of gender, something like this, as you can see from this picture. Okay, now I will have the time for YouTube again, especially talks about gender perspective in education and specific goal to achieve gender equality with the SDG, with the YouTube title, Why Are More Women Than Men Illiterate? Illiterate meaning that cannot read and write. Nah? And it is the very basic, simple examples of education. So let me try to play first. Okay. Okay, so let me continue first. Now you can have the understanding about the problems relating with educations in sustainable development. And it's not only about the problem of the education itself inside the classroom, but also the social, political, economic, culture, traditions, and even the issue of the state just to get the access of the boys and girls to enter the school, and also the ability for them to read and write. You can see from the video, even though they're very simple thing, just to read and write, there are still many women have the higher levels of ability, cannot write and cannot read, like this. Now its reflections after the lesson. The lesson is, after we learn, we understand that education process can expand to comprehensive and multidimensional body of knowledge and contribute to changing how we analyze and confront the problems. So achieving the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, especially with education, SDG 4, it's also require people with the right skill sets, but also new mindsets, more cooperative process, and real-life application. because through education, learners can link theory and concrete challenges, opening up new opportunities to improve people's lives within our communities. In being trained to find and pursue realistic opportunities to achieve change, learners can be empowered as active actors in shaping their futures, creating new narratives of hope for the future. And don't forget this hope for the new futures must also be shared equally between men and women, because we still have many issues of gender inequality, especially to access the education. As Malcolm X mentioned, if you can access the education, it will be the passport for your future. So let us give the equal opportunity of the passport to women and to also the men in the similar or equal way, like this. And for the next week, for this, you can play in your ebook. It will be fun to learn a new words related with the education. And I will not make this as the quiz. This is just for you if you want to learn more, to know new vocabulary relating with education in sustainable development. You can open this in your ebook. You can download in our Google Classroom, and you can find the word, the new vocabulary for you to teach, to improve your knowledge, starting from teaching, learning, reading, until gender, state, curriculum, rights, freedom, and so on. Okay. And for this, I will continue again for next week about climate change and environmental issue. And please, everyone coming for climate change and environmental issue, I hope to make it on site, because we will have the practice of the climate change and environmental issue, and the practice will be part of your midterm exam. So if we can do it very well in our class, it will save some time of you to study for your midterm. So the the practice that we will do in our class next week will be part also of your midterm exam. Okay, and now I will have to ask the best photo, not the best, but the most interesting photo that I would like you to share with all of us. So I select 5 photos to tell a story. And why do I select these 5 photos? Because I think from today's lesson, we understand that education or knowledge can be found from around ourselves, not limited in the class. And last week, I asked you to find a photo and tell a story. It also to reflect how well you know or you behave and understand the world outside classroom. Okay, so I will show you the first photo. It's very close to you. This photo is about soy milk related with the food, and I'm interested to listen to the story number 1 from Miss Pichaya. Is Miss Pichaya here to share the story about this photo a little bit? Is Miss Pichaya here? I think Miss Pichaya is here. Okay, I know you are here. Miss Pichaya, if you are here, you can have some time to prepare. I will go back to you again, Miss Pichaya. I hope you can share a story for this, why you choose this photo as the food system. Okay, and number 2 is the photo by Miss Pichaya about Mukata. It's interesting to know what happened with the food and health system for sustainable development with this Mukata. Okay, if Miss Pichaya is here, then you can share later on. Okay, I will go back to you again. And number 3 is the photo by Mr. Pontacorn. It's about the M Square market. Is near you, but what happened with the system of the food, the problem with the food system with this photo in M Square market. If Miss Pontakon is here, maybe you can also share. Number 4 is the photo by Miss Chayuda is about tea plantation. Tea plantations. And what is the new and innovative thing that you see from this tea plantation? Okay, this is in our daily life. I want to listen more because it's something that we don't see every day. And the last one is Miss Nang Pantung about food workshop relate with the children, education system, and the food system. So from these 5 names, it's interesting to see. Others are good, the best one, but I really want to see and feel interested to know the new thing from our daily life with these 5 photos. Okay, is anyone here to share first? Please. I think I see Mr. Pontakorn here. Miss Pichaya also here. Please, anyone wants to share first? Before we continue with the summary, are you here? Let's see. Yes? Okay, who wants to start first? Maybe 1 or 2 person is okay. Who wants to share first? I think Miss Pichaya is here. Miss Pichaya, are you here?
I hear, teacher.
Yes. Miss Pichaya, I think you write about food system in soy milk. I think,
Yes.
yeah, please.
Okay.
You can read again what you write about this, why you choose this soy milk for food system, please.
Okay. Teacher, wait a minute.
Okay, please. Yes, please.
Teacher, I choose this product because it's a low sugar, because it have high sugar and low sugar, but I choose this product of low sugar because if I drink high sugar product every day, is have a it's easy to
You write about soy milk, right? About the food system, and you talk about sugar. Yes, please continue, please.
yes, is high sugar is effect is bad effect, teacher, in sugar disease. Is it's a
Okay, so
disease with high blood sugar, teacher.
yes, okay. So according to Miss Pichaya, why you choose this picture because you want to show that even in our daily life, we can control we can select our own product that suit with our food system to avoid disease in the future.
Yes.
Yes, because in food system, it relates with the health, right?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Pichaya, for the picture.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, second one. This is my own student. Are you here, Miss Pichaya? Buat Mukata?
Excuse me, teacher. Miss Pupishaya absent today.
Oh yes, but so she doesn't inform the friend. Okay, then I'm interested to listen why she choose Mukata, but maybe later on. Okay, no problem. And what about Mr. Pontacorn? Why do you choose this picture? I think Mr. Pontacorn. Yeah, Mr. Pontacorn is here. Are you here to listen? What happened with this food system?
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Uh, why I choose on this picture, right? So why this is have the many kind of people and many shop in the M Square. Yes, and also they have many food to sell. For the good healthy or not about a it is not only about the healthy but on the food because I see on the bin they have the uh for example they buy a food and eat their food and it's leave over and they throw on the bin and the bin allow them I allow this market I can see the recycle bin so they are not yeah they are thrown in the one bin so they are mm, yeah
Yeah, I can
yeah
understand. Okay, so from this picture, Mr. Pontacon tried to connect the food system with the waste that still have
yep
plastic and everything together in the same place, right?
yes and the foods they have some foods they have good quality food and good nutrients but some foods I see that is very dangerous for health for the body.
Mm. Yes, because food system will related with health system also.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
that's
you
it.
so much, Mr. Pontacon, for sharing the picture.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we continue from the food and issue of health and also the waste to the issue of tea plantation. What happened with the tea plantation? Is Miss Chayuda here?
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yes, please. Why do you choose this picture?
So I don't remember much of what I wrote, but from what I remember, the tea plantation it plants its own tea, so it's good for sustainability because they plant their own tea and they produce their own products with the tea they plant. So the drinks are made of the tea that they plant. In the background you can see the tea plantation, so these are the products that they sell in their cafe. So there's like two different cafes here, but and I think they they do a good job at sustainability as a whole. Because when I visited there, they have trash bins. You can throw trash in different colors. So like there's like three bins you can throw into. So that's sustainable for letting the customers throw their waste into different categories. So the plantation can categorize the trash into different things so that they can manage it well, I guess. I don't know how to say. And also they so those are the good things about the tea plantation, but then there's also a bad side. So from what I observed, they don't use like solar cell power or anything like that. I think it would be better for them to use solar cell power because they're such a big they're a big tea plantation. So I think that solar cell will help with the energy use of the place there, and also the water, because the plants need a lot of water. So I think it will be more sustainable if they find a solution to use water more sustainably. So yeah, that's about the food system there. I think they manage it well, but they can take other steps to improve the sustainability there.
Okay, thank you so much for observing. And this is like educations outside, so you understand about the way how they try to make the healthy food from the nature directly, but they still have homework to improve the sustainability. And thank you, Ms. Shayuda, for the sharing. It really appreciate it. Okay, thank you. And the last one is interesting. Is Miss Nang Phanpong here? What about this photo? Yes, please.
Yes, teacher, this photo is about the workshop activity from what? I don't know the school name. This is about their tell the kid to know what is healthy food for them by doing some activity like matching picture with five people, matching people with five major food. Yeah, the idea behind the workshop is to prove the life, health, and nutrient knowledge to educate to the kid in the school.
Yes, okay, thank you so much for the picture, because from this picture you connect the issue of educations and also food and also health system together. So to give children educations about healthy and good food like that. Is it correct?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Nangka.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I think we go to our last sessions of recall and summary for today. Okay, Araya, are you here? You want to say something again for your recall and summary, because we will have another recall and summary now. Now we will welcome Miss Nataya first, and after that, Mr. Tanwarat. Okay, Miss Nataya, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Natya Kungshum. Today I will summarize the education for all topic. Okay, let's start. Education for everyone is important. Everyone should go to school and colleges in order to be a successful person and contribute to the development of the country. In my opinion, people can lose everything, but no one can lose knowledge. Education for all is mandatory. Everyone in the world has the right to education. Every student will develop a number of skills that are essential to living a good life. I think the main goals of education, of course, is to get out of poverty, but there is still an obstacle, namely inequality in education. As the slide said, there will be many more children suffering from inequality in education at the local level in each country. For this reason, UNESCO attached great importance to this issue and see that eradicating poverty or reducing poverty is the first goal of education, and it must be a quality education only. Therefore, education is the way to stop the transmission of poverty from the parents to children, and also reduce the inequality of opportunity in the economy as well. And education also help to create equal opportunities in various dimensions as well. That's all for
Okay.
my summarize.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nataya. That's a very great summary. And let's continue the last one with Mr. Tanwara, please.
Yes, teacher.
Oh, sorry, Miss Tanwara, please.
Yes. Tanwarat.
Yes.
Okay. I think education is a knowledge about the people want to know, but everyone in the world doesn't equality to know the knowledge about. Some people don't have money to learn about the knowledge. So I think education system is important to people in the world. Yes.
Okay, so I think you summarize with the objective of the educations. Okay, that's also
Yes.
fine. So
Okay.
next week, okay, Miss Araya, do you want to have one more chance, or according to you is okay already? Okay, it's okay already. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Araya. No problem. Thank you. So I hope everyone can join us next week on site on 22 February. We will have the issue of climate change and environmental biodiversity. The most important is we will have the practice that we will do it together in the class, and the questions in the practice will be in your midterm. So if we do it together correctly, you have some help for you to prepare for your midterm exam. Okay, so any questions so far until for here? Yeah, I think not yet. So please remember about next week, and we will welcome Miss Rebecca and Sam again next week to have recall and summary. Okay, if you don't have question, then I will close this class. Yes, please. Yes, please. I think if we start 3 p.m., we will have it's not the quiz, Naka, it's the practice only to learn about your midterm. Oh, for today is not yet quiz. Okay, thank you so much. Not yet quiz. Okay, so we will see you in the class next week, Naka. Okay, thank you so much for coming today, everyone, and I hope you have enjoyed your time. See you next week. Bye-bye, everyone. I will stop the screen, Naka. Bye-bye. See you, everyone.
See you, teacher.
See
Thank
you,
you.
teacher. Thank
บ๊าย
you,
บายครั
ค่ะ
บ
Thank you, teacher.
Everyone. I will end, Naka.
Recording stopped.